the meeting to order.
Keep that on the closed session item.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Are there additions or deletions?
I move we accept the agenda as published.
I'll second it.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. Approval of minutes for the regular board meeting January 24.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of the board meeting of January 24th as standing.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. Executive committee report. Mr. Brown.
We don't have a executive committee report for right now. For today.
So all of these items that are listed here are all for closed session?
That is correct.
Okay.
Gretchen. Let me go back on that.
Okay.
Am I correct that we didn't have a motion, and so therefore that's what it's here for?
The pond.
The pond group.
I have not been able to verify that
Okay, then
we
I
made
think.
an earlier motion.
Does anyone? I don't recall that we had a formal motion to approve pond law group to serve as our legal counsel. Yes.
We should do
So
that.
that we should do that.
Because there was an agreement with them.
Yeah, we have an agreement, and we'd like to formalize it.
Just make a motion.
Do we have the agreement?
Yes, we do have a written agreement.
Yeah.
I know you're just getting it now and sort of digesting it in real time. Sorry.
There you go. You don't need to see it.
I know, I've seen it, I've seen it. Yeah. Right.
Who drafted this agreement?
I believe.
And Sharon has reviewed it.
Do you want to give us, give us the highlights of it?
Sure.
Or we,
Or I can.
Go ahead, question.
So, in essence, what we were looking for was for an attorney that could handle our debt service agreements on the small business loans that we have. We have a number of delinquent loans. We put up an RFP and did not get responses to it, and then went to Dan Pond III, and his firm was willing to do the work. So they prepared an agreement for us to review, and I just want to get this confirmed today. So the agreement is dated February 4th, 2020, and my motion would be to approve the employment agreement dated February 4th, 2020 between EDA and the Pond Law Group.
What is an amount that we still have to recover? Approximately. Do we still have to recover?
From the micro loans and the IRPs?
Yeah, it currently is right now
175.
175 total, but ones that are current that we're working on are around 40,000. So it's worth doing. This was not handled aggressively in the past, and we'd like to make a change to do that.
So if the total's 175 approximately,
Right.
and we've got 40 that are current.
Currently in delinquency.
Okay, current, okay. So the other 135 is being paid.
Hey,
Approximately.
We have approximately 175,000 outstanding.
Total.
As in delinquent. As in
Oh, delinquent
Sorry.
175.
Yes.
So
One of them is a very large IRP loan.
So what's the status of the other 135? If we're working on 40.
These were the most current ones that we're working on.
how old's the oldest? I can't remember.
Pretty old.
Yeah.
That way, at least over a year, so.
Could we request maybe next week, maybe a report to the board members on just a listing of them
Yeah.
to show and when the last payment was, so we can see what's collectible and what is not of that 135? Maybe
Sure.
it needs to be come off.
What is the statute of limitations on debt?
Yeah.
It's
These are
probably
already-
gonna be 5 years.
5 years, from the time the last payment was made?
No, it's under agreement, but I need to look at them, I don't want to generically tell you that.
Okay.
Okay?
And actually, probably Dan would do that. I said Dan might do that since he would be handling these, wouldn't
Well, he's the collector.
No, well,
He's gonna collect is what his job is.
yes, his purpose is to collect them, so it will matter if the statute about to run, so we need to make sure to do that. I was aware of the small ones that we were sending to him right now. So that's where I got the 40. I'm not aware of that.
So we can look at that and have a list.
He's starting to review all of them, so.
And
Any
then
further
point of order,
discussion?
Wouldn't we just basically ratify this and it's just already signed it?
Yeah.
So we already have the agreement, so really all we need
We're
to do is
approving the
ratify
agreement.
this.
We've already got a motion and a second, and I'm asking for any more discussion.
Do we have a second? Who's your second? I need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous, and you'll send us a report next week. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
All right. Greg, you have, oh, wait a minute, this is the access easement on 514 East Main Street for the benefit of 506 East Main. And it's to authorize the signing of settlement documents so that we can do closing today on one of them and hopefully closing on another one sometime next month.
And do we
Wait
need,
a minute, this is only for 506.
right,
Yes, 506
Only for
plus the access
506.
easement across 514.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So it's the access, yeah, the access is, easement on 514, and then the authorizing the settlement documents in 506.
so it'll be a motion to authorize to sign the easement.
You should have, yes, you should have the resolution in your package. And the board approved last month the conveyance of 506. In the interim, Mr. Huck asked for an access easement across 514, and so this resolution approves the access easement.
Okay.
I noticed, Gretchen, you didn't include the copy of the plat in the easement language. I don't know if anybody wants to see that, but I have it here if you want to see it. It's an easement, a variable easement across 514 to access Water Street. And it is limited to the uses in 506. So obviously we can't use it for some other parcel that the owner might have. And it's to not obstruct use of the 514 uses, which are apartments.
And what this easement is actually behind the apartments on Water.
That is correct,
So
yes.
you can come into 506. That's what it
Yes,
is.
that is correct.
It's a little triangle is all,
Mhm.
it's not much.
It's just a little piece.
It's a small easement.
It just makes a lot of sense being
I'll pass it
able to.
around so you can see it. If you're looking at the plat, it is this triangular piece that the easement applies to. There is already some way to get out there, but it's limited apparently by the configuration of the property. So that's why this is 506, the Stokes building. These are the apartments over here, which are 514, and this is the area of the access easement. So I'll pass it around and just make sure I
Thank
get
you.
back. That's my copy. So that's what this does, and again has the the authorization to sign, consistent with the
Is there a
bylaw.
second to the motion?
Second.
Any more discussion on regarding the easement? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous, and we will sign accordingly.
And the settlement is this afternoon.
1 o'clock.
And you're gonna be there?
I will be there.
Thank you.
Then did you want to talk about 514?
Yes.
Okay, Doug is getting the contract on that. I apologize, due to computer glitches, I did not get the resolution draft, but I can tell you what it's going to say, and we can do it during a break, and I'll get the text if you want to see it. 514 are the apartment buildings, and the purchase price is $130,000. It will be special warranty deed. As I said, Doug has the contract. It will be subject to all easements and, of course, this access easement. It is with Shed Prop 20 LLC. The specific partner that signed is George Revels. I think I'm pronouncing it right. R-E-E-L-S.
Rebellious.
Greg Reynolds.
Yes. And you have it, but not amended, Mr. Chair.
This is the-
So they're just, the slight amendments are to, really editorial.
This is
One
what you
is
should have.
special warranty, you have it now. Pass around. Special warranty deed, which is how we got the property. And then you will see there's some editorial amendments on the addendum to cross-reference properly the sales contract and to note the accesses. And so,
Why would anybody want to buy it?
We are glad that they are, and we wish them all the success.
I'm
in the world.
commended for their patriotism.
Yes,
Absolutely.
And good work.
so, Doug, did you have anything else you want to say about this one?
Oh, defer to him.
If there are any questions that relate to price or details of the contract, otherwise we'll take those into closed session, but you certainly can talk about the rest of it.
Yeah, she just said, I have a statement of justification for the disposition of this property to discuss in closed session, just for the record.
Okay, and so the resolution, if you want to wait until after closed session, Mr. Chairman, or you want to do it now, it'll basically be the same as for the conveyance of 506. It will be to convey this property subject to easements, including the access easement, and authorize the chairman and the secretary to sign.
Let's defer until we come out, so that you can make your statement when you're public at that time.
That'll be fine.
Okay, let's do that. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
We have,
Resolution, contracts, and agreements?
yep,
So if you do 506.
Wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
So just to clarify, who can sign documents after they've been approved by the Board of Directors? This resolution just clarifies what's in our bylaws and also provides a provision where all contracts and agreements where EDA is a party signatory will be reviewed by legal counsel prior to signature. So it just gives us more protection, if you will, that we're making good contracts and making good decisions and not having things done that bind us that haven't been well thought out. I can either read the resolution or it's in your packet and we can just vote on it. I would prefer to do that. So do I have
I so moved.
motion and a second?
Wait, are you the second? It's
I
your motion, it's your motion,
I'll
right?
make the motion,
Oh,
you're the
okay.
second.
He's
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. I would like to comment, I was talking with our attorney a little bit, and a year ago when the previous resolutions were in place, the financial institutions and everyone else was very concerned about who was allowed to have any information. And they didn't want to tell us at the time, and even what our balances were and how much was in each of these accounts and what was owed on these accounts. And therefore, we did this initial resolution at the time so that our interim director, Mr. Anzavino, could get access to find out how much money was there and how much was owed. Because if you think we're still working today, we were lost a year ago. We've made tremendous progress in finding out our finances there. Any other discussion?
Actually, I have a point of clarification, or just something I would ask you on. So, from time to time, both the chair and the secretary are out or unavailable. If I understand the wording of this, the board would need to authorize alternatives in order to have it rather than having automatic ones.
That's correct. The board could still add additional board members to sign or alternative board members to sign. That would be consistent with the bylaws. But what this does is set up a standard process.
Right.
In order to make sure going forward what's understood. I think there were a few times, I think there's good reason that the board previously had Mr. Anzavino as a signatory given the circumstances. The board, however, in many cases was adding on a number of people to sign, which you could do, but it makes it complicated to try to then get everybody there to sign when the bylaws only require certain signatures. So this makes it more clear that you're following the bylaws, you're meeting the requirements. You can go ahead, as Mr. Brown said, if there's a need to substitute a particular document to do that.
We always amend it for that document.
Should we consider doing that now, or just wait until the circumstances arise?
Let's wait until the circumstances. Okay. Do it.
And then I think this allows, just so everybody knows what the standard process is.
Exactly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. Anything else from the executive committee?
I think this is later.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Down here. Right, okay, yeah, I think that's what we have in executive.
I think, and then I think that pretty robust meeting the other day. I think it's very public, tell the public that the executive committee did meet and that we discussed a multitude of issues to advance our cause in the community.
Right.
Most of those items are going to come up down under our closed session.
Closed session, but we had a very good,
Enthusiastic.
enthusiastic meeting on a variety of issues. I think all of which was in closed session, but that it was a good effort, and we're going to see the fruits of some of that here very soon.
Yeah, just to reiterate that our committees are very active by what we're doing. So there's no I don't know what the expression I'm looking for is.
There's no rest for the wicked.
That's the one I was
There's
looking
no
for.
rest for the
That's
wicked.
exactly the one I was looking for.
But yeah, just for the public purpose, that's all.
Thank you. Finance committee.
Well, mine is short and sweet, but we really did do a lot. I first of all want to thank Doug Stanley for being able to hopefully resolve our issues. I will get my part to you as far as we should be able to have a public financial statement every month starting with March. I will have in closed session what is our unaudited, if you will, hybrid for the board to see, which is what I've been looking at for the last several months. And thank you very much. The audit deadline is March 6th, and as soon as we have those in, we will be reviewing them, interviewing, and obviously selecting an auditor as quickly as possible with dates that hopefully everyone can live with and get them in pretty quickly. Thank you, Doug, for your phone calls that you've done answering questions for people and getting these folks to hopefully respond maybe. We have one. we'll be in good shape. I'll defer, because it's been a joint effort with Asset and Solar. I'll defer, obviously, the solar discussion until closed session.
I'm glad that we're gonna get these, the monthly reports that the county does for expenses and revenues available for the public, because, quite frankly, the public should be able to see what we have spent out here and what we've received every month, just like they do any other county departments. And that's very concerning to me, that I realize we don't have the audits. I understand we don't know our baseline totally, but we should be able to tell everybody what happened out here last month.
Yes, and what, as I alluded to, we've had a very good, when I say hybrid, combination of cash and accrual that Howard and Willis have done for us, but it is not sufficient for public scrutiny, but we at least now know where we are every month and have known. We know what our expenses are to budget. And now we should be able to have a public document that everyone will be able to.
So everybody can see
And we have
where we are.
certainly been working towards that for months. So hopefully next month we will be done. That's it for me.
Thank you. Assets Committee.
Last Friday, the Assets Committee had a joint open and closed session. We touched on just about all of our properties and all of our assets. There is an agenda available for those that want to review that. That's for the record. I don't have a copy here with me this morning, but I'm sure Doug can provide that. We had a good turnout. We had good participation from the board members that were able to attend, which I really do appreciate that. It shows a lot of solidarity. Just a couple of points. Most of my items are closed session, but I can talk really briefly about those items just so there's understanding for the public. 514 East Main Street apartment is going to be a closed meeting topic, but we hope to have an announcement on the status of an LOI and a contract, which we basically just talked about. In the executive portion, we hope to have a more formal announcement on that after the closed session. We do have a lot of activity on the Ball Drive warehouse. That will be a closed meeting topic as well. However, I'm sure Doug, during his executive report, will have a little bit more information as to what's happening on that particular property. We hope to have some type of announcement on the next steps with a local firm that is interested in either leasing the majority of that facility or was also considering a purchase option on that. We are in negotiations with that, so there's only so much information that we can offer on that. Then, of course, the Afton Inn is always a favorite topic, and that will be a closed meeting discussion. The goal is to provide an update to the board on 2 East Main's latest acquisition and to discuss the next steps on that property as well. That's all I have.
Mr. Parsons, did you get an email yesterday concerning the building?
The Ball Drive building?
No, the
Afton Inn. You forwarded it to us?
Let's see. Is it the one from 2 East Main, their
No.
response?
No, concerning the weather.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I did. Let me pull that out. Want me to read it aloud, or?
I think it's pretty short, isn't it?
Sure. So this is an email from Doug Napier to Kelly Bundy, the counsel for 2 East Main, and then I was copied as well. I thought you might want to know about this as soon as possible. A Front Royal Town Council member, Councilman Thompson, it should be Councilwoman Thompson, said that she saw a few minutes ago on Facebook that the roof of the Afton Inn building next door to Town Hall and across Main Street from the Warren County Courthouse is flapping in the wind. The wind today is extremely gusty and at times strong. As you know, pieces of wood soffit have already fallen onto the public sidewalk. The town is worried that part of the roof, which appears to be metal, might be blown off onto the public street. And then in parentheses, the Afton Inn is at the intersection of the two busiest streets in Front Royal, in parentheses, or sidewalks, with potentially highly dangerous results. Because of the outstanding lease contract to purchase status between East Main and the EDA, the town does not want to get in the middle of and opine a legal opinion as to who has the predominant obligation to repair and maintain the building, but the town does want to draw this to your immediate attention. I did call your office a few minutes ago, but you were out and so left a message with your assistant. My copy of this message with Mr. Doug Parsons, Executive Director at EDA, I am letting him know the situation as well.
I would ask that you work with our attorney to respond to Mr. Napier and remind him of the town's responsibilities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you want to go back to
We'll go back. Anything else? Is that the-
Assets Committee is complete.
I want to go back to the Finance Committee for a moment. Thank you.
My apologies for, one of the things that there are certain bills that are recurring bills, standard bills, every single month. And Finance is requesting that the Town of Front Royal Utilities, the Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, the Comcast phone bill, the Pitney Bowes postage meter, the Xerox copier lease, and the UPS and the United States Post Office annual box lease be automatic payments, that we do not require two signatures for those. Sometimes it is difficult, or it will streamline the finance process and paying of standard bills. I know that finance has certainly been a touchy issue, and bills being paid, but there's certain bills that are just standard that are part of a lease. We have contracts on them, and it would make things much easier for the staff if they could automatically be processed and streamline the system going through the county, because they are our fiscal agent. And I feel very confident that with so many sets of eyes and the Board of Supervisors having final sign-off, that the standard bills being part of the not requiring an EDA signature and could go automatically over and into the process would streamline the county's process and make it easier for those bills to be paid on time.
And that's the process the county uses.
Definitely, we pay those bills twice a month, and just, it's to avoid late fees, it's the timing of when the bills come in and when they're due, and sometimes it doesn't work with our schedule.
I was going to say, and that's one of the things that, thank you, Gretchen, that I had noticed because of the process. We were getting late fees, and of course I'm crossing off every month, you will not pay late fee, and we haven't.
And sometimes you can go back and get those waived, but it's a process.
And fortunately we have, but this would avoid that late fee going on that bill in the first place and avoid another phone call. So we would really appreciate it if the board would do that.
And this is also, they will all show up on our monthly printout of our expenses.
Yeah, it'll show up. And
you'll have a record.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, doing what I do in managing property, most of my boards of directors, that's exactly what they've done, is automatic bills. I'm allowed to automatically process because they're standard bills every month.
But just to clarify the process here, when we say you got a new automatic payment bill, it'd be reviewed by two people. Then we'd have a motion to add this to the list. of automatic payments. Should that be?
Are you asking, if I understand you correctly, are you saying that if the electric rate goes up and so our standard bill changes, that I don't think you'd want to do simply because, the electric bill's the electric bill, but like a phone bill or?
No, I'm saying there's some new bills.
Oh, yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
like a new
and
contract.
then we would add them into the
Yes.
process, so there'd be transparency in the
Yes.
process to
Yes.
do it and safeguards. And then I assume the signer, who would be the single person? Oh, we don't need them at all.
That's what we're asking for. The other process for anything that would be different, it would be my signature and one of you all's,
Got it. Okay.
or the treasurer's, whoever, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
Second.
Okay.
Additional discussion?
So I like that idea personally. However, I would want to see a listing of what those recurring bills are and
They're
what
right
dollar
here.
amounts are.
You're right here, right now.
This is nice to have.
It's right.
Yeah, it's right in the
Pass it
resolution.
in your packet.
It's in the package.
Where you say you'd like to
I feel
receive a copy each month of what
Yeah.
the bill, actually, we can provide that.
I feel silly for asking the question. So,
Why?
yeah, these are.
Yeah.
And then we would add to it if we had new bills.
Yeah, and if we have a new contract, that would be a standard that obviously would come here and be approved if we're doing something new. And if we felt it was something that fit into this parameter, we could add that as well, to automatic. But because again, we have such a strong fiscal review process, this just makes sense. And we get our standard bills paid on time.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is unanimous. Anything else?
That's it.
We'll go over to communications.
So when we did our 6-month goals, the top 3 things that we had there were one, to be available and make sure that we were getting media coverage of the things that we're doing and important issues that we're discussing. We started that this month with an interview. Doug and I went over to the Royal Examiner, and Roger Bianchini was the interviewer for it, and we discussed a variety of topics and got good traction from it. Our intent is to follow up with reports. I spoke yesterday about a likely on-site interview at the truck driving training program across the street with Jeannie and Clark. She was very enthusiastic about it, and we're going to set that up for March to do the next one. But it's a good start with it. We also continue to do press releases, it just helps our transparency. The public has a better idea of what we're doing. Just a quick update on the website. We're actually having, I had to put off a meeting because we had a conflict yesterday with the meeting I was supposed to have. But we're in the process of, we'll start to answer a lot of questions that Queen has to help us with the website review. It's an 8 to 10 week process. There are 3 stages. We first agree on requirements. You do the initial building and development. That'll be available for review by everyone on the board. It'll be a private website with password protected, so you can go through it and offer suggestions and recommendations on it. Then you tweak it and we go public with it. So that process is in line. Also this month we had the commercial property open house, first one of those that we had. It was a very good success. We had very good comments back from the realtors who were involved. The Blue Ridge Realtor Association president and the past president were there. Very enthusiastic about it. I do want to have a shout out. This was a joint town EDA county operation, and we got very good cooperation from the town in helping make this happen. We had help from Chris Brock and Karen Logan, who actually were on the trolley with Doug Parsons, and Gretchen Henderson was our enthusiastic trolley tour guide, and Doug handled the site visits in it. But we also had help from the town. Alfredo Gutierrez provided information on town sites for sale. BJ Wilson and his daughter apparently came in on the Sunday before the event, and we're printing the booklets that we have. We have them available if you want to review them out front, but they're very impressive. For realtors to say it was really well organized and professionally presented, that's something. And in my view, we now have a sales force to help us sell our properties and town properties and county properties in doing it. I want to thank the town of Front Royal for providing the trolley, snacks for the participants. The total cost for doing this for EDA was $0.
Thank you.
Good job.
Can I make a comment from the communications committee?
Yep.
So I sent the other night a request to standardize our board member email signatures. I would like to entertain a motion to actually adopt that policy. It lends credibility to us as board members to make sure that we have a consistent marketing approach, we have a consistent look, a consistent contact information. If we are communicating with state agencies or prospects or whomever, having that email signature line with the appropriate logo in there shows a lot of continuity in the way that we run our organization. And quite frankly, I use that email signature when I receive information from people simply to get their phone number. So I don't have to take another step and look it up. So I would like to see us, adopt a marketing standard where we do have continuity in our email signatures, the organization, our name, our role in the organization, the Kendrick Lane address. I don't necessarily want to put our personal phone numbers in there, but the office phone number for the EDA, and of course our logo somewhere in that body.
You actually have one that I think that I like to use, the one right on top.
This logo?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, the logo plus putting everything down the bottom.
Perfect.
I think, maybe you might just, I don't know if you want to pass around, but in essence, I'm not a big fan of having all the board members off to the side on the front page. I think just something simple like this probably is a good thing. We are, as part of the redevelopment of the website, we're going to get a new look for EDA, and one of the things that we're going to be considering is a new logo. But the concept of standardizing and adopting organizational look, I think is very important, and communications will work with the staff to make that happen.
So communications will take care of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be pretty easy to do, you just change your signature line and all you do, I think probably you can send it out and just say, here, follow these steps, and we'll be able to do it on our email.
Yeah.
It's a really simple task with a lot of impact.
Right. Yeah.
And zero cost.
And truly,
Sure. We'll come back to that.
Okay,
Yes,
so there's no
absolutely.
motion required for that, that's just a task to work on
Yep.
as it relates to the communications.
Good thought.
Thank you.
Anything else with communications?
We are done.
Dr. Patterson, you had a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to Mr. Napier's letter. It's pretty clear that the memorandum of understanding that the town is responsible for the repairs and winterization. They seem to be quite schizophrenic. If you publish reports are accurate, which I have no reason to think they aren't, within the last couple of weeks, they've said that, well, we decided that we don't wanna hire somebody to do this, so we can do it in-house. And then a few days later, they're writing saying they don't wanna do anything, basically, is the way you interpret that letter. Is that correct?
Well, I can comment on that, and being polite about it. It's schizophrenic is probably a polite word. But there has been a series of mixed messages and a series of mixed communications on that. So I think we can certainly deal with that item in a closed session, to be kind about it. But the EDA feels that we have a position, and the town certainly feels that they have an alternate position.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Executive Director report.
Okay, excuse me, under financial management, I think everybody knows by now that Young Hyde and Barber is withdrawn from performing our FY 18 and 19 audits. And so we've published an RFQ for a new auditor. We've got that out in the local publications as well as on EVA, which is a statewide procurement website. Carolyn Stimmel and I have been working with one firm in particular to answer questions and provide the needed information to them so that they can assess our situation and provide a response. We've had good dialogue with this particular firm, and we're cautiously optimistic that we may get them to respond to our RFQ as we dearly need an auditor for this. As of this morning, just before 8 o'clock, I got another response, thank God, from another firm, and we'll be working with them to answer their questions and entice them as well to provide a response. We have submitted an invoice to the county for $205,897.75 for debt service on the Leachwood Parkway, Stevens, Success, Ball Drive, and Happy Creek Tech Park improvements. This should extend our financial solvency by my estimates to around May 1st.
I think maybe a little bit further, but not worry about that.
A little bit further, so it's my understanding that check has been processed, is that correct?
It's signed off on it, it should be processed in the next week or two.
Okay.
We received it yesterday.
I'm sorry?
We received it yesterday.
Oh, we did? Great, okay, so we deeply appreciate the quick turnaround on that check to keep us alive. Sir?
Did we send a similar statement to the town?
Not yet, and if I may, I would really like to discuss that in closed.
Have we updated the monthly billing for the police station?
Department?
To include January?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we have.
Okay.
I can check my records
I
if you
just
want.
wanted to know. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
sorry, I
that's-
should have asked you so I could report it in finance. But
That's okay.
We want that bill to go out every month.
So Monday, we can send out the bill for February.
Yep.
Yes.
You could. Yep.
Absolutely.
I'll get Carolyn to do that.
Thank you.
Does interest accrue on
Every month.
Every month.
Yep.
And we're paying it every month.
And by the way, that's
We wanna
at
talk
3%,
about
that's $692 a day.
How much is that again?
$692 a day at 3%. I had previously made a public statement, it was 500 and some. That was at the 2.25% compromise that we had discussed in the past, so. Moving to our.
Could I just, am I correct that the town has a moral obligation to pay the debt on the police department?
Yes, the loan that we have, excuse me, the loan that we have for the police department at United Bank, the town does indeed have a moral obligation on that loan. That is the only security on that loan.
and the building?
So every day they don't pay their bill, it costs them another $692.
For the taxpayers, yes.
Yeah, it costs the taxpayers, and right now us.
Absolutely. Moving on to our properties, the roofing project at 1325 Progress Drive is very nearly done. It's really just a matter of positioning some splash blocks and doing a little trenching work to get the water to drain away from the building. We've already been given the warranty information on the roof and the downspouts and the gutters. And as soon as we get a sign off from Fred Andre, our architect, saying that the thing is 100% done, then we'll release the checks to the contractors. who I would say have been very good to work with. 400 Kendrick Lane, we have had 2 roofers come out and look at the roof finally, and I'm expecting quotes anytime from them on the repairs for the other end of the building once we get the solar panels off the thing. And I would just suggest that once we get those quotes, which are for budgetary purposes, so we have a ballpark of what to expect, we could very quickly do an RFP for that work and try to time it so that we'll be able to start that work as soon as the panels come off, so we don't waste any more time.
And the goal is that roof has to be ballasted when those panels come off.
Absolutely.
We got wind in there and that roof is
toast.
It'll be over there.
Yeah.
And the quotes that I've asked for have included ballast blocks, not the gravel as you had directed. Let's see, 506 East Main Street, I think we've covered that. We expect to close today, and I believe the board just passed the resolutions needed. Prospects. Over the last month, we have had an incredible flurry of prospects, especially here in the last couple of weeks. From my days at BEDP, I know that this is the time of year when a lot of companies start to gear up for the construction season here in the few months. And it was always a very busy time at the state, and from talking to my former colleagues, they are swamped with new activity. As you know, Virginia was recently ranked the #1 state in the country to do business in, and subsequently we see a lot of activity, much of which has come to Warren County because we do have so much to offer. We have gone from having no interest in the Ball Drive building 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now we have 5 very, very viable prospects for that building, 3 of which are walkers. And we are working with those folks with great passion to get them the information that they need, whether it's the as-built drawings or other information on that building. So I'm eternally optimistic. We'll do more detail in closed session. We also have 2 other significant clients for vacant parcels of land, one of which is interested in the Avtech site, and one of which is going to be interested in the Stevens lots up there, especially the 53-acre one. Commercial open house, I think Jeff addressed that properly. I do want to thank Nancy Silva of Blue Ridge. I want to thank Ashley Schickel next door at the Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Commission. In a very short time frame, they produced a nice document with some demographics for participants, and really appreciate their help as well. Regional economic development efforts, the regional workforce effort, that group is continuing to move forward with designing a website for information on living and working in the Northern Shenandoah Valley to attract new workers, especially millennials and especially IT-based workers. They are also looking at how to approach some of the larger local businesses in the region for some financial contributions to help with marketing, so we can market ourselves to workers. You know, we're trying to attract businesses, but with the low unemployment rate and the screaming economy, there's a lack of workers out there right now. So, you know, we need to try to attract more of those folks into the community as well as the businesses who would employ them. The site characterization project, I'm just working on getting quotes. Again, being eternally optimistic, working on getting quotes for the costs needed for the due diligence items to raise the tier level for our sites. And once we have an idea of those costs, much like the roof here at Kendrick, then I would envision working with the Board of Supervisors and this board on the timing to maybe start getting some of that work done. Many of these items can be expensive, especially the Alta survey. That seems to be an expensive item for some reason. I think there's a great deal of research that goes into those. The phase 1 environmentals, as I mentioned before, are not particularly expensive, but we're going to get some quotes on the wetlands and the archaeological studies. And I've even also gotten a quote on what it would take to clear some land, to grub especially the 53-acre parcel at Stevens. And we've gotten one ballpark quote from one company on what it would take to get rid of the cedars and the locusts out there, and then the other thorns and brush. And so we'll keep moving in that direction. And then finally, business retention. I did meet with one other business this month that is planning an expansion, and of course we brought in Nancy Price from VEDP, and we're working on identifying the incentives that would apply for that expansion business as well.
Cool, thank you.
Question?
Oh, sir. Every time I come out here, I see Tran is still working just a little bit over here. Are we getting any communications from them at all? Nothing? Whatever about the plan for this new asphalt and curb and gutter and all that?
Just a monthly check.
Yeah. I've been instructed not to communicate with him due to the pending litigation, so they have not sought us out, and I have not sought them out.
Even though we're number one for business, do you think the changes in the right to work laws that's going through the General Assembly will have any impact on the industries looking at Virginia?
Yes. There's a lot of controversy around right to work, and we could discuss that all day, but in my view, just in my experience, right to work is a very serious issue. I can tell you that one of the clients right now that's looking at our vacant sites is looking at West Virginia, Maryland, and then several sites in Virginia. And I did not hesitate to point out to that client that while West Virginia, my home state, passed a right to work legislation, that an activist judge in West Virginia has held up the enactment of that legislation for a year or two, and the state Supreme Court had to instruct that activist judge to adjudicate the issue so that it could end up before the Supreme Court for a final solution there. So I can't think of anything more damaging to the state of Virginia's economic climate than for the General Assembly to reverse the right to work legislation here. And I can tell you the average wage in right to work states is not any lower than in states that do not have right to work legislation.
That's an interesting comment, Dr. Patterson and Doug. I travel around the country. I work in right to work states. I work in union states. And I'm not going to develop a policy position for this meeting. That's not what we're here for. But I can tell you that in heavily unionized states, I do get apologies from general contractors and the steps that, geez, we're union labor. So, like I said, that's not a policy statement. That's just what I hear in the marketplace. So, I want to also comment on Doug's prospects. He gets incredibly enthusiastic when that phone rings. So he calls me and we talk when I pop in the office, and the genuineness of his desire to move these properties is 100% there. And that's a testament to his work, and I know that we have the right person in this place marketing these properties. Being engaged is probably greater than 80% of the job. So absolutely, thank you. Glad to see that.
I see it.
Agreed. Thank you.
Mr. Stanley.
A few things before I get into my risk report. First of all, I want to thank, as you saw this morning, your board and your various committees for the enormous effort that you have put forth and the progress that you're making on working through the issues and trying to resolve some of these properties. I think the results are starting to show, but we all know this isn't going to happen overnight, and but we're in it for a long run. A couple other things, our general services staff have picked up the custodial stuff here for Gretchen and Doug, and hopefully that's been going well, right?
Yeah,
All right.
wonderful.
And our staff takes care of the parking lot. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of snow to deal with. Our parks and rec maintenance crew, we're cleaning out this winter, finishing up, cleaning out the tree line, fence line over here across the street at the tractor trailer training parcel across the street. Hopefully that's looking a little better, look better this spring. Hasn't been touched in probably 20 or 30 years, and it's just one of those things that I think it's improved the appearance. The other thing, this week our public works crew has been out at Progress Drive. One of the things that, Doug and I went early on to show a prospect at Happy Creek property, and we went out to the cul-de-sac. Everybody knows they've been out there. And all you're looking at is a bunch of trees around the end of the cul-de-sac. You've got a beautiful 150 acres that lays out across there, but you can't see it. So our crew's out there trying to clear out the stuff around that cul-de-sac so you can actually see the property that you have for sale. And your comment on the Stevens property, particularly if, that's an if, but if you guys end up moving over to us after July 1, of course, being a county department, that'll be a topic of later discussion, but let's look at our staff doing that. I'd love to see your quote, but that's something that doesn't have to be done. It can be fill-in work, or certainly this time of year when we may have some free time because we don't have snow, we can do grading and do some things, but
Before the leaves come on.
before the leaves come on, but it's also, if the ground's frozen, it's good work. So, but just,
Appreciate
maybe we can go out, you and I can go out and take a look at it and see what we can do to help you out. As far as our report, Development Review Committee met February 26th. Committee discussed projects in the county, including, we got 6 short-term tourist rental conditional use permits in process. Talked about the status of multi-tenant building at Riverton Commons. They have received all demo permits, stormwater permits. They've taken the building down out there, and I believe as soon as they resolve their tap fee issues with the town, the full building permits will be able to be issued. They'll be able to start coming up out of the ground with that building. I think they want to be done by summer. Pole-based, Marriott had to put a light pole out there around the roundabout to improve visibility. That base has been put in. Hopefully the pole will be put in here shortly. The site plan for the Echoes Warehouse is under review by the planning department and other agencies, and we're hopeful that'll get started moving forward later this year. And of course, Timberworks Tree Company has purchased the house on Fairground at 404, and their office space, and we'll be getting moving forward here shortly. The committee also discussed town projects, including update on the sheet site plan. DEQ has approved their stormwater plan and their permit. I believe they're having their, yesterday had their pre-construction meeting, and I believe next week they should be starting work out there at the site in the old Shenandoah Motel.
Do we know when they'll have MTOs?
Well,
6 months.
yeah, 6 months.
6 months, okay.
5 if we're looking at good weather.
MTOs for Christmas.
The town is working on a subdivision ordinance rewrite, and Big Lots, they're working on the sign. Big Lots is moving to the former Food Lion space, and they're working on their sign issues with the towns. That should be forthcoming. Committee will meet again on March 25th. New housing starts, new construction for 2019. At 150 new home starts total, 24 of those were inside town limits, 126 outside. We had 157 the year before and 181, I believe, the year before that. So this is 2 years in a row of a downturn. I think part of that is simply supply of lots, especially in town, curb gutter, water, sewer lots. There's not a whole lot in the pipeline, but that's certainly probably having a little bit of an impact. Population estimates, we got our new Weldon Cooper numbers in January. This is for July 1 of 19. We're at 39,936. So at this point in time, we are at the 40 threshold. As Doug knows, that's a different game changer for commercial development. When we hit 30, we got a lot more phone calls. And I think once everybody realizes we hit the 40 threshold, that should improve things a little bit for us. Delinquent tax sale, TACS held an auction delinquent tax on February 20th, sold 23 properties for $131,100. Of the 23, 4 covered all the taxes and fees and interest owed. Some of the other ones are just, frankly, probably unbuildable lots due to well and septic separation, steepness, grade, floodplain issues. But a lot of times those go to adjoining property owners and hopefully getting them back on the tax rolls. The Pond Law Group, who you all were dealing with earlier, they're the other firm that handles tax sales. They're looking to have a sale later this spring of properties, and we advertise those on both the website and our Facebook page. Next item, broadband. So the governor's office, paying the budget, they're going to have $70 million of the next biennial budget, so $35 million a year. We're continuing to talk to the governor's office, Comcast, CenturyLink about the underserved areas of the county. The according to the Broadband Now website, about 91.7% of the population have wired broadband. That still leaves about 3,100 people without it, and if you're one of those 3,100 people, that's an important issue for you.
Are you one of those?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we'll continue to work. Basically, with the grants, counties have to apply for the money. We would partner up with a private entity to provide service. The problem in these areas, low density. We're talking under 10 or 15 homes per linear mile. Comcast won't go in if you don't have over 30. For them, say it's, a few years ago, it was about $35,000 a mile to run service.
And they upped it from 20 to 30.
And up to 20 to 30 is last time. But to be honest, most of the ones that are at 10 to 15 would never hit 20 unless the county went in and rezoned for high density residential, which is not going to happen either. But the idea is you get some grant money and you partner up with one of these organizations to either do wired or wireless broadband. Some of these companies are actually like a Comcast or essentially would work with a wireless company to come in and put a tower up. So we're continuing to talk with them. Tourism committee, they met on the 12th and talked about the community wayfinding signage initiative. That's been sent to VDOT for both town and county, and VDOT's in the process of reviewing that. Once those comments come back and they're addressed and they give our approval, we can go to formal design and then bidding the project out for construction. Committee also discussed proposed budget of the county's tourism funding. They had a follow-up meeting on the 26th this week, and I believe they're going to have another meeting to talk about recommendations to the town and county and tourism. Our Love Work sign proposed for 34522 Guard Hill Road intersection has been designed. It's been sent out to VDOT. We're addressing some of their final comments, and once we have those addressed, we'll be able to move forward. Budget, we have our next budget work session at 11 a.m. Tuesday, March 3rd, after our board meeting next week. Burl Brooks Music Playground, that was $15,000 donated by Lorraine Holquist. The equipment's been put in this week, and hopefully within the next week or two, we'll have everything dressed up. Obviously, when it rains, it slows us down a little bit, but we hope to have a ribbon cutting ceremony later this spring. Fire and Rescue Training Facility, we've got a building committee meeting on March 2nd, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully, try to move forward with that project. But that's all I got. I apologize I didn't have the packet. A lot of the things happened this week, like the tourism meeting and the development review, and I want to make sure I have those things included. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
If you had to handicap the odds of the broadband increasing, what would be your thoughts?
I think ultimately the governor, if they keep pumping money, ultimately I think will be to address it. Will it happen in the next 12 months? Probably not. But I think as long as there are continued support at the state level for funding, that will help those private carriers get the service out. So that will increase the efforts. And you're obviously you're in a lower density area. You and I've talked, you're probably less than 10 homes per mile in that section. You have a lot of farms and stuff. But I think the easier answer to some of those is wireless. The one advantage you have is that you can get an internet air card and pull in service. Some areas like Browntown, Bentonville, you guys need it.
Right.
And that's, we've talked to a company about putting towers down in Browntown area to provide coverage, and have not been able. The tower company that builds them wants either somebody to pay for the tower, and whether that's a lease with a company. Yeah. But if there are no carriers willing to put their antenna on the tower, there's no market for them to build the tower. So that's what we're going to work on.
Yeah. Do you know if any of this broadband effort will also increase the high-speed internet? We have DSL in Bentonville. I would call it sedate, not high speed.
That's why a lot of people like Comcast over, say, Century.
We don't have that option.
I know. But just recently, I believe Century's been running fiber down Browntown Road, and certainly that's been an improvement because you had old copper wire paired was all you had down there. It was unreliable, no lost service.
Right.
And whoever was up the pipeline ahead of you that was drawing on the internet, they were using up the capacity of line. So
that's right.
By running fiber, they should be in a better position to provide higher speed. But so the ultimate answer is provide everybody with fiber. That's pretty expensive. Or fiber to a tower that can then do wireless. Right. So the good news is, if you got fiber into Browntown, now you might be able to get a tower up and have a lot higher speed access.
It just, but it would take away the excitement of getting up every day and wondering whether will we or won't we, because that's what happens at my house. I get up and, wow, I have it.
I do, I do, it's like, you know, people come in, they're asking about, you know, people now, one of the first things they're asking is about internet connectivity when they're looking for a house. In the old days, that wasn't an issue. That's become one of the hot button. They want to come sit down with me and talk about, what are my options for internet connection?
Didn't you move to Browntown, Bentonville, from Solitude?
Well, sort of, but you know, then it's like anything else. You really, you know, you want to bring what you had with you and you'd like to be able to work from home. I have one question, Doug, and I'm sure it's been on here all the time. Where is the old Oak Lane Phase Rural Edition?
That's at Shinno Farms.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the roads that we've been working on, trying to work on for a few years, and that's the next one on the private road. So basically, that's where the VDOT puts up half the money, county puts up 25% of money, and the sanitary district will put up 25%. You live out in Thunderbird. Y'all had talked about doing a project in Backer, right?
We did.
That's one that was on that list along with Thunder Road, or one of the others that you had on there.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else for Mr. Stanley? We'll go ahead and go into closed session and take our break and then come back.
Okay,
And
Take a break
take the break first,
Take our
or
break
we're going to
first.
close?
so we have to read afterwards. I'm thinking
Oh,
about,
you want to pass the motion?
want to do the motions,
That's
so,
fine, Rich, we'll just keep the time straight.
yeah. And we'll have 2, maybe 3 items to discuss after the closed session. Would ask Mr. Stanley and the supervisors if they're available, if they would remain for the closed session. So,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. Whereas the Front Royal Warren County Economic Development Authority desires to discuss in closed meeting the following matters. Discussion of disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. 2 East Main Street, 506 East Main Street, and 514 East Main Street, and legal advice related thereto pursuant to VA Code 2.2, 3711A3 and 7. Discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industries interested in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. 426 Spa Drive, pursuant to VA Code 2.2, 3711A5. Consultations with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. IDA versus Cornerstone, LLP, and Town of Front Royal versus IDA, pursuant to VA Code 2.2, 3711A7. Consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel, financial documents, First Bank Strasburg, contract with Yount, Height and Barber, and proposed contract to sell solar panels pursuant to VA Code 2.2, 3711A8. Whereas pursuant to VA Code 2.2, 3711A3, 5, 7, and 8, such discussions may occur in closed meeting. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Warren County Economic Development Authority is hereby authorized discussion of the aforesaid matters in closed meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
What?
A second?
second.
Oh, second. I need a second.
Second.
Sure, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are in closed session.
Yep. And I need a second now.
Second.
Second, all in favor.
Do we need a roll call?
No.
No roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion is unanimous. We are back in open session. Is there an action to be taken on our agreements with Cornerstone?
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 documents with respect to resolution of the issues with Cornerstone, a settlement agreement, a promissory note, a deed and a deed of trust, security agreement, assignment of leases and rents, and fixture filing statement. And my understanding is that the board wants to take action in order to authorize approval of those documents and signature by the chair and secretary.
And would there be a motion that this would be subject to approval by council and removal of paragraph 13?
That's correct, thank you.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. Is there a motion regarding 514 East Main Street?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that you have, you need a motion to approve accepting the contract from Shen Prop 20 LLC for acquisition of 514 East Main Street for the amount of $130,000 as amended in your possession, including reference to subject to all easements, including the access easement to Water Street for parcel 20 AB 6B 24.
Is there a motion to that effect?
And approve the signators.
I'm sorry, yes, and also approve
Approve
the
the
signatures
signatures.
as the chair and secretary.
So
Go
moved.
ahead and make that motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Is there a motion regarding a request for some documents?
Let me go ahead and try to make it that we would be, we're going to make a request for FOIA documents from the town on the regarding its agreement with the Department of Historic Resources and any correspondence that they would have received from them.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Anything else to come before the board? Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.